What's up guys, welcome back to Going to the Movies. Today we're doing another filming locations video and I am super excited because this is my favorite sports movie of all time, filmed just about 3.5 hours from where I live right now in the Atlanta area, and it is Remember the Titans. I know if you're from a different generation than me, then it's probably not your favorite. So let me know in the comments down below what your favorite sports movie of all time is. I remember my aunt taking me and my brother to see this back in 2000. I was 10 years old. I didn't know what the movie was going to be. I didn't see any trailers or anything. I remember calling Movie Town in Martinsville, Virginia, and getting the recorded descriptions of all the movies, and then picking this one saying, I guess that sounds all right. We went to it. I was blown away. I loved it. My brother, he hated it because he thought it was going to be that Titan AE animated movie, but it was a football movie. I fell in love with it, and now I'm visiting the filming locations and sharing it with you guys. Come along with us as we see all the spots from Remember the Titans. So a newspaper says that they filmed the cemetery scene around the duck pond, which is right there. I believe they came in, this is the part before the movie, I believe they parked here in this circle, which I'll show you in a second. I think when Denzel's getting out of the car, you can kind of see this road. Everything's bokeh'd out in the background, but what I believe you're seeing is him getting out of the car right about where this Hyundai is. You can see that road blurred out in the background. And then you see many of these gravestones as well as they walk across here. And I think this is where they were parking their cars. Okay, so right here I believe is where Gary's funeral was held. You can see the same ledges and stairs barely behind the group of people. I came to this cemetery for Remember the Titans locations 2 years, 100 pounds, and 1 mustache ago. And we were on the complete opposite side. It was fall, so it looked more accurate to the movie, but I looked on Google Earth. This is the only set of stone stairs I could see in the whole cemetery, and we're right by the duck pond, which is where that newspaper article claims they filmed all the cemetery scenes. So I believe that we can say this is where Gary's funeral was filmed. Also, no grave sites right here, so you could have a whole production, or at least a whole cast, because there was a bunch of them standing here. Well, this isn't the exact angle, but it's another clue as to where they went from where they parked to where Gary's plot was, and it's that the road turns into gravel with this grass patch in the middle. It's kind of the same on this side too, as it turns more into a path. But yeah, most of the paths in this cemetery are paved, so if we follow our context clues, I think we are pretty accurate with this one. Okay, we have arrived at Coach Boone's house. I'll tell you how I found this in a minute, but I wanted to show you around first before, you know, anyone gets sketched out by me filming out here. This is Coach Boone's house. You see him moving in from the perspective of the neighbors across the street, because they're looking through the windows and thinking, this guy moving into our neighborhood. Oh no. So now walking in front of Coach Boone's house, you'll remember when they were moving in, the blinds to this window flung open, and they were looking through to see what was going on as well. But eventually they all come around because he wins football games. So there's a scene where he gets home from winning the regional championship against Roosevelt. He picks up his daughter and they go out into the street. She's on his shoulders. They're spinning around out there. And then you get a close up on this house. There's people standing on that porch. Then it moves over to the other side of the porch. There's a guy there. Then they make it seem like it's really far away by blurring it really fast. But the houses are actually pretty close together. So it pans over to this house. You see someone in the window and the door there. And then it quickly pans over to this house where you see people in the corner of the patio, which is obscured by the tree there. And this angle shows you Coach Boone coming out of the house when someone throws a brick through his window. And you can see the pattern around the porch is still the same. That circle up there above the 140, the lines, all that stuff. And then the car drives off down this street, just like that one did. Hopefully less racist people in that car. So if you look up, you know, just quickly where all the houses were filmed, all you get is it was filmed somewhere in the McDonough, Adams, Kings neighborhood of Atlanta. But this one was not, and that's why it was so hard to find. I kept looking in that neighborhood for houses with a 140 on them until I finally found a newspaper article that said Coach Boone's house was filmed on Superior Avenue. So I was able to use the two pieces of information together to find the house. But the interior shots, according to that same article, were filmed at a house across the street. So maybe that was done in there, maybe in there. It didn't say exactly which one, so I don't know. But that is what they did.
What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna look out for myself and I'm gonna get mine.
Hey man, that's the worst attitude I ever heard.
Attitude reflect leadership, okay?
Well, we have arrived at Berry College in Rome, Georgia, which stood in for Gettysburg in the movie Remember the Titans. And we are just outside of the Ford Buildings area, which is where they did all the camp scenes, except for the practice field, but we'll get there. There used to be a marker on the ground that was put here by the Georgia Film Office that denoted the Hollywood history of the place, but it looks like they're doing some work here, and that got torn up. I'll show you a picture though of when we were last here. Through this archway is where the players came in, and we're gonna go show you that shot and a couple more, so let's go in. So when Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky is playing, you see the players come through this archway and then turn the corner right here and head up towards these buildings. These are the dorms that they were staying in. That'd be cool to get in there to see where the fight scene happened and all that. I don't think that's gonna happen today though. We may be able to get into there. That's the dining hall where a lot of stuff happened. So we'll see if we can get in there. Well, we tried to get inside every door, but they're all locked. I'm gonna ask someone if they'll let us in, but for right now, checking it out through the windows. This is the Ford dining hall. On the left, you'll see all that wood that surrounds the stained glass windows. That's where Denzel Washington stood when he was yelling at the players for getting in the fight. You also see it in the background when Louis Lastic is standing up talking about the Rev and singing the Temptations. So let's go walk over to one of these windows and see if we can get more even with where he was standing. I want to say it was about right here. I definitely can't really match the angles up because the glare. But yeah, he was probably about right here. And the camera would have been over to the right of what you're viewing, facing where those stained glass windows are on the front. I've been trying to match this shot up for about 20 minutes now, and I cannot find the exact column that they were standing against. The scene where Julius says attitude reflects leadership, that was like kind of a turning point for Julius and Gary's relationship. They come in after a long day of practice, and they say they're tired of doing the 3-a-days, so let's just get to know each other just for the sake of it. And that happens in one of these corridors. Now we're on one side of the dining hall, the right side, if you're facing in this direction. The other side looks exactly the same, and we couldn't find anything else on campus that matched the way this looked. So you see the column and you see the little tip of the archway. It's more like this. I know this is the wrong angle because you can see some buildings blurred out in the background, but it's kind of like this right here. I don't know which way they were facing. The tree behind them I'm pretty sure is gone because that is nowhere. Like Virginia trying to hide from the camera. You can't hide.
I like that laugh.
I think it was probably on this side because you can see the buildings behind Julius blurred out. Like you can see a big window. I think it could be that one. Maybe these bushes weren't here yet. It was a different tree. And then you also see a building blurred out behind Gary. That could be right here. But there was a tree behind him. I don't see a tree or any stairs. So this one's kind of stumping me, I'll be honest. Okay guys, so when I was editing this, I was looking at when they were walking in to camp. You can see that there were more trees there next to the Ford dining hall than there were when we were there. So I do think we were in the right spot. Maybe not the right column, but definitely on the right side of Ford dining hall. Oh my God, it is so humid today. I'm gonna tell you about this spot right here. This is the exact angle where Racist Ray and Petey were talking to each other, getting to know each other, the assignment from Coach Boone to get to know their roommates. You can see the benches are different. There's only one here now, but there was one right here and one right here, and I don't think the bushes were here. There are 3 circular ponds here. This is how we know this is the one. There's a circular pond up there by the dining hall. This is the archway where the players come through and then take a left at the beginning of the Gettysburg scene. And there is the second pond. We know that the third one is the correct one because this is the only pond that goes straight towards an archway that has a door behind it. And of course everything else matches up. So all the buildings here in the Ford buildings area, the architecture is all very similar. It's hard to put your finger on what is what if you're trying to compare, remember the Titans. But everything is actually pretty individual. So this is Mary Hall, and this is the exact shot. You see the lights turning on when Denzel is waking up all the players to go on the early morning run to the cemetery. And right in that archway is the staircase. So let's go over there. Right here is the staircase where all the players come out, and they're about to do their early morning run that Coach Boone is having them do, because he's going to take them to the Civil War cemetery, because remember, we're in Gettysburg still. So they come down these stairs, they group up out here. Coach Yost says, we're not the Marine Corps, this is a high school football team. Denzel Washington kind of laughs and then runs in this direction. Now when they're over here, it's a little bit too dark to see what's in the background. So I took a screenshot and I pumped the exposure way up, and you can actually see the circular pond and the straight path behind them. So with that and with the stairs, we can determine that that was this spot, and Denzel Washington was standing right here at one point. And then they ran to the cemetery. Okay, we finally made it to the old mill. This was in the background of one of the running shots from the Gettysburg run to the cemetery. Just ran here all the way from the car. Let's go look at it closer. So this only shows up in the background of that scene for a few seconds, but this watermill has an interesting history, so I wanted to share it with you. It's part of the north campus of Berry College. It's about 4 miles from where we were at the camp where they were staying, the dorms and stuff. And this was built by students in the 1930s, and they used it to produce cornmeal and other things for the students at the campus. It is one of the nation's largest overshot water wheels, and it is powered by gravity. But today's Sunday, and it looks like gravity observes the Sabbath because it is just sitting there. There's a bunch of trails back here, and man, it is gorgeous. I would love to take an early morning run back here. Not right now because it's so humid, but just incredible, incredible sights in this creek back here. Now we're on the practice field at Clarkston High School, and this is where they filmed all the practice scenes that happened at Gettysburg. And you'll recognize this shot. Let me show you a comparison. It's not perfect because it's a little higher up, and you can see the cement behind the goalpost, which I'll get into in a minute. But this shot right here is visible. You can recognize all these trees that go all the way around the field. It's an awesome practice field. You also might notice that they put in some AstroTurf now. And this is pretty recent because if you look on Google Earth, it's still a rundown field. But yeah, look at all these trees. A minute ago, the sun was shining right on them. It looked just like the movie. It was awesome. Now let's go compare a few things. So other than newspaper articles, you'll see this cement semicircle right behind the goalpost. It's in between the field and the track around the field. And this is visible in a few different shots. Right where I'm standing is about where they were filming the up-downs portion of training camp. Denzel's walking across with his whistle. Every time they go down, pay attention, you can see the cement semicircle back there. You can also see it when Sunshine arrives for the first time and hits Gary in the back with a football. The introduction to Ronnie Bass, aka Sunshine. He pulls up here with his dad, drives across the track a little bit, and then Coach Yost and Coach Boone go to greet him. And they say they moved here from California. They want him to play on this team. Coach Boone says, hey, we already got a quarterback. You should check out these other schools. And he says, well, they're not integrated. I want him to play at an integrated school. And then calls from the players over in this direction say that Sunshine is a fruitcake. And then Sunshine picks up a football, nails Gary Bertier right in the back with it. And they say, you know what, we got another spot for a quarterback. And that was all here. It was a little bit farther up. Again, you could see that cement semicircle in the background, further proving this location. How cool is this practice field? One of the other great scenes from this field, now it's a little bit corny, and the music is very manipulative, but the left side, strong side scene happened right here, and man, you'll love that part. Gerry and Julius come together, they see through their differences, and they become a cohesive defensive unit, and they get after Ray for not blocking properly. If you're a big Remember the Titans fan and you want to come visit these spots, the easiest way to get to the practice field down here is to come up to the baseball field and walk through that open gate. Is a staircase that leads down to the field. There's one other way to get down there as well, and that entrance would be right here. That goes right down to the field. Okay, we've arrived at the T.C. Williams that we all know and love, which is actually Druid Hills High School in Decatur, Georgia. A lot of scenes happened here. This is the exterior of T.C. Williams. I'm gonna go and walk through what we saw in the movie. So the first time we see the school is during the protest scene. It's the first day of school and the buses come up and everyone's out here with their signs. And you see inside of these windows, I believe it's these two. So this one had Denzel and a couple of others in it. And then this window had Coach Yost and a couple of other administrators in it. And then it moves over to the entryway. And another scene that happens here is the press following Denzel around after a brick is thrown through his window. He walks up this sidewalk and then up these stairs as he's talking to the media. One of the scenes that you'll remember is the girls looking out at Sunshine doing Tai Chi in the front lawn of the school. Petey comes up and says, "Hey, Sunshine's from California, you know what that means." And then they walk up the stairs and you see the circular window and the rectangular one above it. I don't know if I'm on the correct side, because when you look out of that circular window, you can see brick wall to the right of it. And that's not here and it's not on the other side, but this pattern of windows, the exclamation point I'll call it, is only on the sides, so I don't know where they filmed it. But it was supposed to be facing out of the front of the school. That's where your brain kind of puts it. And that's because he's doing Tai Chi over here by this bench. Let's check out the bench. So right here is Sunshine's bench. This was where he was doing the Tai Chi out here with the girls watching him out of the circular window. And we know this is the right spot because this is the only bench out here. And you could see it in street view from 2009. So I'm gonna say if it was here 12 years ago, it was probably here 20 years ago as well. Let's go check out the back where they also filmed some scenes. I was really excited to find this spot. These are the stairs that Ryan Gosling runs down at the beginning of the movie. I didn't know if they were gonna be here behind Druid Hills High School because you can't see it on Google Earth. But I knew this was where they filmed the practice field scenes. So I thought it was probably back here. And now I'm happy to find it. So he comes running down to tell the guys about the protest going on. I'm not sure why he's not at practice because he is on the team. But yeah, those are the stairs up there at the top. You can see the railing here of the bottom stairs, just a corner of it. So let's go down and check out the practice field all the way over there. So now we're standing on the practice field way down below where the stairs are that Ryan Gosling runs down, Alan. It looks a lot closer in the movie, but you can see there's a lot of space between. The stairs he runs down are the ones that are up above the car and to the right. But once he yells to them, you see Gerry and Ray's reaction. They start to run off to the protest, to counter-protest. Coach Yost doesn't want her to do that, so he takes off in this direction towards his truck. And there's a couple of things you can see as the camera pans over. You can see the square, the cement here just inside the track. You can also see this part of the track where there's like a little straight portion. I don't know, I guess that's for like starting races, where you have the normal curve and then you have like a straight portion here. And then as he's running, you also see a train running behind him and there's some railroad tracks, so let's check that out. So this was the giveaway to where they filmed this spot. It was still Hammond High School. Up there, Druid Hills High School, which stood in for T.C. Williams, and I guess Hammond High School, I guess they merged into the same facility, same building. But here's the practice field. And then the train tracks were the giveaway because when Coach Yost runs away, you see the train running behind him. Okay, so now we're in Gary's neighborhood, standing right across the street from his house, or actually filming right across the street from his house, because this is where Julius walks up. He walks past the two old ladies, says, "Hey, how you doing?" They look at him strangely, and then the cop pulls up and tells him that the defense has been doing really well. They stood right here. There's a big tree that's gone now, but where you can match up is the house itself, the driveway, and the house back there at the end of the driveway past the fence that either was open or wasn't there at the time. And then Julius walks across the street, and when he walks across, you can see a quick blur of this bay window here in the background, which is now red on the framing. And he walks where they actually filmed it, across the street. 322. This is Gary Bertier's house in the movie. They play box on the porch. They walk in, and then the camera moves over here. You see inside the window Julius meeting Gary's mom for the first time. She sticks her hand out to shake it, and Julius picks her up for a big old hug. Just a quick stop here across the street from the Silver Skillet, which is where Coach Yost and his longtime assistant stopped to have dinner. It's a popular diner here in Atlanta. I'm gonna go show you the inside best I can. Okay, so you can see through the window exactly where they were sitting. You can see that bar there in the background. They were sitting at the same corner is, well, I can't point at it, but I'll use a red arrow to show you which corner they were sitting in, except where the booths were turned the perpendicular to where they are now. So it's the same ones you can see from the movie. And another thing I wanted to point out is you can see those 4 paintings of birds or whatever they are. I can't see them through the screen here, maybe horses or something. The 2 on the bottom used to be over here when they shot the movie. So that is the inside, but this place closes at 2 p.m. so we weren't able to go inside. It gets pretty crowded though, so it would have been tough to film in there anyways. This is the Silver Skillet. Zero fun, sir. That is how fun it is to drive through downtown Atlanta. And here we are at Grady High School, and I'm locked out because they don't like trespassers here. But that's all right, because I wasn't going to be able to get in here anyways. This is where they shot the interior of T.C. Williams, their gym. So a couple of scenes that happen in here. The press conference towards the end of the movie where Coach Boone talks about Gary Bertier's injury. The scene where the players have the players only meeting. And then the most memorable, when PD says football is fun and then gets yelled at by Coach Boone, eventually deciding that football is zero fun, sir. That all was filmed inside of that building, which is their practice gym. And it was upgraded in 2015, but I believe it was just a floor. Maybe everything else was touched up, but I'm pretty sure it still looks about the same. So from this front angle, they show the establishing shot of Hal's Crab Shack, I think is the name of the restaurant. And Hal's was the restaurant where Coach Yost goes to tell his players that he's going to resign before being convinced to stay. Well, it looks different now completely, but this is where the players go in. Ronnie Bass takes the other guys in here, and they are not welcomed into the restaurant because the owner is very racist, and he also doesn't like hippies. This is the same building where they filmed the exterior of Hal's. It's called Southern Roots Outfitter. But I don't believe it's supposed to be the same place in the movie because the 2 interiors look quite different. When Emma and Ray come and try to pick up Gary to go wherever they're going to go hang out at, you can see the courthouse right behind Gary's head, a little bit blurred out. You recognize this courthouse from In the Heat of the Night, the television show, as well as, is it Pretty Little Liars or is it one of those vampire shows? I can't remember. A lot of stuff has been filmed here in Covington, Georgia. And this is the historic town square. When Gary's driving across, he points at the guy and he's standing about right there. He's in front of Hal's. And he points back at him. And then continues along this direction. So I don't want to stand in the middle of the street because it's a little bit busy here in the square tonight. But this is about the perspective where you see Gary hit by the car. Notice the planter in the corner. car comes from this direction as Gerry comes from that direction. He's not paying attention. This guy's not paying attention. And they collide about right here. So I don't believe Etowah High School was used as the Titans' home field, and I don't believe that stadium in Covington was used that I read on an IMDb fact. I believe it was here at Paulding County High School in Dallas, Georgia, and I've got a couple of clues that lead me to believe that. I'll show them to you and let you decide. This is clue number 1. This is the cement wall where Denzel puked before the first home game. He had just found out that if he loses any game, he's going to lose his job, so he leans up against this thing and he barfs right here on the ground. And the vomit is actually still here. Not really, but there's a bunch of pieces of gum stuck over here. So I'm going to leave that area. Let's go check out clue number 2. This is the second clue right here on the field after Sunshine is taken over at quarterback. There's a quick shot, and I'll show it to you, but the brick building is visible up there on the hill. The greenhouse was not there, I don't think. It's hard to tell because it's nighttime, but you can see that brick building with some lights lit up on it. And that's clue number 2. I accidentally went out of chronological order, but this is clue number 3, and this is the spot where he's told that he's going to be fired if he loses a game. And he's enjoying it before that guy walks up and tells him that. He's saying this is his sanctuary, all is right when he's on the football field. And you can see from this angle, right on the 50-yard line, the bleachers, the lights, that wall down there at the bottom, they all still match up. So this is clue number 3. We are standing on the Titans home field, at least from the movie. Some memorable moments that happen here on the Titans field is the pregame ritual they come up with after the players meeting when they had an uninspired win against, I forget which team, but they come out, they march around the track, and then they get in formation here in front of the goalpost. See, that scoreboard is of the same era, but it has moved over slightly. They could have just done that to protect it from field goals maybe, I don't know. Hard to say. But some other moments from here, Petey comes in for Allen. When Coach Yost goes to talk to him, I think it was right in this spot. Because Petey was a running back. He was fast, but he couldn't hold on to the football. So Coach Yost asked him to come in for Allen at cornerback, see how he does on defense, and he really thrives in that position. And then finally, of course, as we talked about before, Sunshine comes in after the Rev injures his wrist and takes over as the Titans quarterback. Etowah High School is where we are now standing, and there's a couple misconceptions about this filming location. I want to clear those up. First, we know this is not the practice field. You'll see online it lists this as the practice field from the Gettysburg scenes, or just any practice scenes in general, but it is not, because we went to the practice field and we've proven that that is the one. You can see why they might have thought that with the trees lining over here. There's a field goal post. The other big misconception about this field in this high school is that this is where they filmed the Titans home games. And I do not believe that to be true. I am sorry to all the Etowah Eagles out there. But if you look at all the Titans home games, there are no bleachers that are a part of the hill. This is designed like the same way my high school was. Shout out to Magna Vista. The bleachers were made part of the hill. But I know that they filmed away games here, specifically the Herndon Hornets game. And that's the game where they were playing real unmotivated football. They won, but you know, it wasn't with heart. And in the newspaper article that I found with the assistant principal at the time, they were talking about how they put up a facade on the scoreboard here, which is still the same shape. Back then, they chose high schools that looked at least 20 years old because they needed it to match 1971 as much as possible. This one, I'm guessing, was not updated, but has since been. I mean, look how nice this field is now. This actually matches the same shape. It's digital now. There's an arch at the top of it. But yeah, look at the screenshot of the score after the Herndon game. They did it right there, and the newspaper proves it. Well, they might have filmed it here, but they obviously didn't watch it. Etowah High School was also used as Roosevelt High School. I saw that in the article and I was kind of confused because I didn't remember a Roosevelt High School, but it's actually the one they play in the regional championship, and you can see the banners hanging up when they're doing the handshake at the end of the game. So that is 3 fields that they used for 5 games that are featured in the movie. There's the 2 Titans home games filmed at Paulding County High School. There's the 2 away games, which were both filmed at Etowah, which is Herndon, and the regional championship game with Roosevelt. And then there's the state championship game, and we're going there next. Okay, so now we're standing on the 50-yard line of the home of the Yellow Jackets. This is the football field at Sprayberry High School, and this is another misconception place. Now, if you do a quick search of Remember the Titans locations, you're gonna find probably that they filmed the state championship in Virginia. They're gonna say it's the only scene that was filmed in Virginia, but that's not true. It was actually filmed on this field. Just a couple of things we can match up. So this is the spot where Emma would have approached Julius and offered him a handshake. She finally decided to stop being racist. And that was right here. Because we were able to figure out that the Titans were on this side. There's a shot that shows the opposing coach standing there, and you can see that press box right behind his head. So they were lined up on that side, and the Titans were all here. The big giveaway here are the stairs at the bottom. It's very distinct. So when you get to the bottom of the bleachers, if you want to come down to the track, it splits off in 2 directions, and that's on each of them. There's 4, and you'll see that if you look in the background of the movie. So this is where the Titans, at least in the movie, won the state championship, and that was the climax of the movie. I'm a lot closer than where they filmed this angle from when they kicked the field goal, and they have a modern goalpost now, but this is about that shot where they kick the field goal and everyone cheers. And then there's another play right where we're standing, all about here from this perspective. You see the quarterback of the other team drop back to pass. He's standing sort of right here from my screenshot. You can see the triangular steps coming down. And then you can see this tower without the boxes on it. And then you can also see this pole. Well, this is high school football in the South, so you know things are going to get updated and just look completely different. I mean, the grass now is just completely synthetic turf. But this scoreboard, which we just looked at, is still exactly the same as it was. They just had the victory thing where it says Home of the Yellow Jackets. They had that covered up. Alright guys, that's going to do it for another Filming Locations video. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the spots that were used in Remember the Titans. If you did, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And hopefully we cleared up some misconceptions about these spots, because there's a lot of misinformation online. But what can you do? We will see you next time.